Scouts called him a project, a risk, an athlete, but not a quarterback. Then the player that everyone tried to change changed the game forever. That project quarterback became one of the most electrifying players the NFL has ever seen. The risk became a 4-time Pro Bowler and the youngest quarterback in league history to win not just 1, but 2 MVP awards. The story starts in Pompano Beach, Florida. From a young age, Lamar Jackson Jr. was just different. Coached by his mother, Felicia Jones, he developed a play style that was fluid and instinctive. By the time he hit high school, he was already a local legend, a player who simply moved at a speed different from everyone else on the field. In 2 years as a starter, he threw for over 2,200 yards and 31 touchdowns, while running for over 1,600 yards and another 22 scores. You'd think every college in America would be knocking down his door, but that's when the narrative started to turn. Despite the eye-popping talent and undeniable production, the gatekeepers of football weren't sold. ESPN and 24/7 Sports ranked him as a modest 3-star recruit. The scouting reports all echoed the same sentiment. Exceptional athlete, incredible in the open field, and then came the catch. They felt that he relied on his athleticism too much. The consensus was clear. While he was a phenomenal football player, he wasn't a quarterback. Not in the traditional sense. The mold was a tall, sturdy pocket passer who stood tall and delivered the ball. Jackson wasn't that. He was chaos personified, an artist who painted outside the lines. And in the rigid world of elite football, that made him a liability. The pushback wasn't subtle. While major programs like Auburn, Clemson, and Florida offered scholarships, there was often a catch. The conversations kept circling back to a position change. For Jackson, this wasn't a mere suggestion. It felt like an insult. It was a fundamental misreading of who he was. He'd been a quarterback his entire life. His mother had trained him to be a quarterback. He saw the entire field through the eyes of a quarterback. And yet, the so-called experts wanted to take the ball out of his hands. But one coach saw what others couldn't, or wouldn't. Bobby Petrino, the head coach at Louisville, made a simple but powerful promise to Jackson and his mother. You will play quarterback, and only quarterback. For a young man being told by everyone else what he couldn't be, it was the only promise that mattered. He committed to Louisville, a school that wasn't a traditional powerhouse, but was now the only place that would let him be himself. From the moment he stepped on campus, Jackson was on a mission to prove just how good he could be. His freshman year in 2015 offered a glimpse of what was to come, as he started 8 games and accounted for over 2,800 total yards and 23 touchdowns. But it was his sophomore season in 2016 that put the entire nation on notice. He threw for over 3,500 yards and 30 touchdowns, while rushing for over 1,500 yards and another 21 trips to the end zone. We were witnessing the reinvention of the quarterback position in real time. That year, he silenced every doubter from his high school days. At just 19 years old, he became the youngest player ever to win the Heisman Trophy. Hoisting college football's most prestigious award, he was no longer just a 3-star recruit from Florida. He was, without question, the best player in the country. And yet, as the 2018 NFL Draft approached, the old whispers returned. Only this time, they were shouts. The narrative that had followed him his entire life, great athlete, not a real quarterback, resurfaced. Hall of Fame executive Bill Polian famously declared on ESPN that Jackson should switch to wide receiver in the NFL. Short and a little bit slight, Polian said of the 6'3", 212-pound Jackson. Clearly not the thrower that the other guys are. The accuracy isn't there. At one point during the combine, a scout reportedly asked Jackson to run drills with the wide receivers. Offended, Jackson refused to run the 40-yard dash at all. He would only participate in passing drills, determined to make the point that he was strictly a quarterback. Picture that. A Heisman Trophy-winning quarterback, one of the most productive players in the history of college football, was still being told that he wasn't good enough to play at his own position. On draft night in 2018, Lamar Jackson sat and waited. One by one, the quarterbacks came off the board. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen. 4 quarterbacks, all taken in the top 10. And all the while, the Heisman winner was left sitting in the green room. Cameras zooming in on his frustrated face as team after team passed him by. Finally, with the very last pick of the first round, the Baltimore Ravens traded up to select him. It was a lifeline, but he still had to prove himself. The team already had Super Bowl winning veteran Joe Flacco as the established starter. But when a mid-season injury sidelined the 10-year pro, Jackson was thrust into the spotlight. And he never looked back. He led the Ravens on a 6-1 tear to end the season, clinching the division title and becoming the youngest quarterback in NFL history to start a playoff game, just one day before his 22nd birthday. The next season, 2019, was Lamar's masterpiece. With an offense built entirely around his unique gifts, Lamar Jackson didn't just prove he was a quarterback, he broke the NFL. He led the league with 36 passing touchdowns and shattered Michael Vick's single-season rushing record for a quarterback with 1,206 yards. He became only the second player in NFL history after Tom Brady to be named the MVP by a unanimous vote. After one dominant performance, he quipped to the media, "Not bad for a running back." But even then, the journey wasn't over. Critics shifted the goalposts. They questioned if his style could win in the playoffs. They argued his passing, while improved, wasn't elite enough. Then came the 2023 season. This time, there were no questions left. He set career highs in completion percentage and passing yards, throwing for over 3,600 yards with 24 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions. He still dominated the ground, leading all quarterbacks with 821 rushing yards. He led the Ravens to the best record in the NFL and took them to the AFC Championship game. At the end of the season, he was handed his second MVP award, becoming the youngest quarterback in league history to win the award twice. Jackson's success has thrust the door wide open for a new generation of dual-threat quarterbacks, proving you don't have to fit into a neat little box to be great. From a 3-star recruit few top colleges wanted at quarterback, to a 2-time NFL MVP, Lamar Jackson proved his doubters wrong by making their arguments obsolete. He forced an entire league to rethink what a quarterback is supposed to be. As Bill Polian later admitted, the old, traditional quarterback standard simply didn't apply to him. He's the player they told to change, who instead changed the entire sport.